Badwater Videos 2009 is a Gmod machinima channel similar to popular machinima channels from 2009 like the Gmod Idiot Box and Kitty0706, or is it? Just by looking at their channel, you can already tell something's off. Their profile and banner are both screenshots of the TF2 map Badwater, but the banner is of a balcony from Badwater with an open door. Now, this may not come as a surprise to many because, wow, haha, holy shit, the door's open. Listen closely. Listen, there's actually more to it, because if you didn't know, you can't open normal-ass doors in Team Fortress 2. At some point, this channel actually had a different banner. The door was closed. Whoa. Another anomaly I've noticed, their first video is a TF2 video. But this can't be. This is a Gmod channel, and they're not even on Badwater. They're on Sawmill. I hate Sawmill. Oh, who am I kidding? I love you, Sawmill. The point I'm trying to convey is that there's clearly something off about this channel, and I'm here to unveil the mystery behind it. And since they've posted their last video, being their newest one from over a month ago, Melon Man versus Metalhead, we can put together the full story because I don't think Richter Overtime wants to make another video about this guy. I'll be taking the wheel on this one. Is that okay, Richter? Okay, good. This channel has a whopping 20 videos to go over, so let's not waste any more time and let's get right into the videos. TF2 Sawmill gameplay starts with the player character, this red scout, going to the other base. Except the server is barren until he comes across something very abnormal. For a second, it's hard to tell what it might be because of the terrible, disgusting video compression, but when the camera focuses and it gets a little bit less compressed, we see a person using a fizz gun and setting up a little scene like in Gmod. He's setting up a scene full of props with a blue heavy sitting on a couch with a random door beside him, his minigun to the side, and a stand in front of him, a little TV stand in front of him where the player is putting a TV. After he's done making his set, the player eerily turns towards the scout, to which the scout tries to run away, but he gets caught and his little icon in the corner changes from his normal TF2 scout icon to this scout standing in place, A-posing. He's weaponless. This video has the date 2009-08-15 in the description, which is when the story officially starts, August 15th. Based on the fact that we encounter him making a little scene, this player character using this Dr. Kleiner model is very likely BadwaterVideos 2009 himself, and it is confirmed in the next video to be Badwater. For the rest of this video, we're going to refer to BadwaterVideos 2009 as just Badwater, like the actual map. Also because I called him Badwater Videos the entire time while writing the script, and now that I'm done with it, I've concluded that Badwater Videos is a mouthful after finishing the entire script. I wanted to call him BDV because it sounds cooler, like bad water videos. I don't want people to go like, it should be BWB. It should be BWB. Because that makes more sense. Because bad water videos makes more sense. But I think that sounds stupid. Sorry, fuck. Anyway, we see what he was making in the next video, the broken TV. The broken TV is about this blue heavy mourning over his broken TV. But the red scout who was abducted in the last video opens the door and fixes it for him because he's awesome. The video ends with them having a laugh while watching the telly. And wait, oh, whoa, let's inspect this real quickly. As you can see, right before the video fades to black, we see the red scout move his hand, showing that he's still in control of parts of his body while being used for this machinima. This video confirms that the Dr. Kleiner from the last video was Badwater, and that he used this living being for his video, which was obviously the red scout. But what about the heavy? That question is answered in the next video, which has the same date as the one from the description of the Sawmill video, 2009-08-15. So these first three videos all take place like in the same day. I don't know about the same hour. I don't think that really matters. This video takes place directly after the broken TV, but we're in the scout's perspective. The scout takes a good look around him and manages to unfreeze his arm from the couch, but he turns to the heavy, who's slowly shaking his head at the scout. He looks very scared, until he's deleted by Badwater, who's deleting the set he just made, which I assume also happens to the scout, but the video corrupts before he gets deleted. However, Badwater walks towards the scout instead of just deleting him from where he was, like with the heavy. So maybe Badwater doesn't like this scout or wants to get a good look at him before deleting him. I don't know, but this video confirms that both the scout and the heavy are alive. I mean they were alive. And Scout is our main focus because we've been seeing his perspective besides the actual machinima videos. Melon Man to the rescue introduces a brand new key character the Melon Man. He's a demo man, but he has a melon with a big eye for a head. Amazing character design. He flies over to save this red engineer from the blue team and throws a melon which explodes and sends everyone flying in different directions. The rest of the video is of them shaking hands until they stop. Suddenly we see Badwater run behind them. Badwater is actually running to an injured blue scout who's crawling away from the scene after being sent flying onto the train tracks. And Badwater is probably just trying to get him away from the camera so people don't find the video strange because of the somehow moving ragdoll. After this video, Melon Man will be the main character of the machinima videos, while Scout is the main character of the actual story. This video, Melon Man versus the Teethanier, reveals a reoccurring rival to Melon Man, the Teethanier. He's a blue engineer, but his only facial characteristics are his teeth, which are fully present in his face hole. He tries to terrorize the red engineer by drinking from his pot and then eating the pot. I don't think that's how pots work. His little animation he did when eating the pot was very discomforting, with his mouth opening really wide to fit the whole pot in. He's already a very unsettling looking character because his face is just a big hole with his gums and teeth inside. The Teethanier's voice is distorted. The pitch of his voice lines change constantly. This was probably just added to distinguish the two engineers, but this distortion in his voice is in all of his other videos that he appears in. Red engineer's screams of terror wake up Melon Man and he comes flying to the scene. Except he can't use his melons because there are flammable barrels by the engineer, and using a melon will probably explode all of them instead of just the Teethanier. So his next best option is to beat the shit out of the Teethanier with his bare fists, which he's about to do until he looks to the side. This little movement he does where he just looks to the side is way too smooth to be animated by Badwater, since Source Filmmaker comes out 3 years after this channel takes place, proving that Melon Man is also sentient. He hesitantly looks to the side, to which Badwater waves his tool gun at him, threatening to delete him, forcing Melon Man to beat up the Teethanier. This scene where he beats up the Teethanier isn't made with any Gmod technology and is done completely by Melon Man under the threat of being deleted for not obeying the player's orders. So this video confirms that Badwater has full knowledge that the ragdolls he's using to make these videos are alive, and he uses them like slaves for the machinima videos. This little section at the end makes Badwater seem much more sinister and obviously classifies him as the villain of this channel, even though it's his channel. Passage starts with the scout waking up in a corner of Lumberyard, which is another TF2 map, across from an unconscious blue sniper who has a arrow in his chest. Scout wakes up to the sound of a radio listing out random numbers. After listening for just a moment, it sounds like the radio is repeating some sort of code. This code is a string of ASCII characters, which in full says 3, 8, 4, 3, 2, 7, 2, 8, 9, 7, 9, 8, 5, 3, 2, 7, 2, 8, 4, 3, 2, 7, 2, 7, 3. These numbers translate to "you must hide." The scout stands up and goes to check on the sniper, who's still unconscious, and then he turns to the left and a very conveniently placed door is in front of him. He walks to the door and opens it to a white void. The radio changes codes to 828578828578, which translates to "run." Oh my god. Scott walks into the white void and the door closes behind him, with the video concluding in him being trapped in the void. The description of this video has the date August 27, almost 2 whole weeks after the events of the broken TV. Based on all the props and the ragdoll sniper, I'm guessing that this same scout woke up from another machinima that didn't get deleted for some reason. But how exactly did he get here? And what is this random door? We'll come back to these questions later. The video Dr. Metalhead Rises starts with the Teethanier picking up a blue soldier from the Melon Man to the Rescue video. He puts him in a little cart and walks all the way to the TF2 map Well, which is where Dr. Metalhead's evil lair resides. Teethanier hooks the soldier up to a big claw that slowly descends into a big glowing pot of whatever that is. It's glowing yellow, but it looks orange, and I'm pretty sure in 2009 lava existed in Team Fortress 2, so I don't think it's lava. I don't know. But the Gatorade, I don't fucking... But the soldier gets dipped into this goop and we get a good look at Dr. Metalhead's design. He's a medic with a metal claw for a hand, a metal peg leg, and his head is a helicopter bomb from Half-Life. His voice has a strange robotic filter over it, but to me, it sounds more like he's underwater.
Prepare for your examination.
Since we haven't seen Dr. Metalhead anywhere besides his lair up until this point, I'm guessing he's the big bad boss of the Teethanier, and the Teethanier is like his Glumshanks, especially since he's commanded to pull the lever like a henchman would. I think that's like a trope where the big bad boss gets the henchman to pull the lever for him. I'm confident that's a trope. This next video is a bit of a bummer since it's an announcement that the next episode of the Melon Man series has been cancelled. However, Badwater is doing a Q&A to make up for the lack of Melon Man, which is what the next video is. Cool cool detail about this video is that he thanks everyone for 10,000 subscribers, and the photo he uses has the same layout as 2009 YouTube because, you know, it's in character. This channel has done a really good job at replicating the style of old 2009 Gmod Machinima videos and channels made in 2009, and this screenshot makes this channel seem very authentic. Oh, it reminds me of the good old days.
Fucking justice, all fucking righteous fucking.
The Q&A gives us some cool details about Badwater and gives him a bit more personality, like how his favorite class is Spy and how he likes Badwater because he likes how well designed the map is. But I'm gonna pick the most interesting questions and answers out of the video because most of these questions and answers are just filler and they try to give him more personality, but I don't really care because he's like evil. So let's get started. Question 1. Why did you start making videos? Who inspired you? Badwater's main inspiration was the Gmod Idiot Box, which I mentioned at the beginning. He thought it was funny and it gave him the idea to make his own videos. Question 2. Have you heard of Gunslinger Pro 2009? Gunslinger Pro 2009 is another TF2 ARG channel and was the first of the two channels. Gunslinger Pro 2009 follows a similar idea with the sentient ragdolls and the evil player, but doesn't have as much of a story as Badwater videos, and in my opinion, is a bit more subtle with the whole sentient ragdolls thing. It's ironic how Badwater likes playing as Spy because Gunslinger Pro hates Spy, and the Spy is the main character who gets tortured in Gunslinger Pro's channel. Badwater makes a couple references to Gunslinger Pro throughout the channel, but Badwater says he doesn't know who they are. Question 3. What is Melon Man's backstory? This will be answered sometime in the future. I thought this question was interesting because it was never answered. What are Teethanir's abilities? The Teethanir can eat anything ever, but they are blind and use echolocation by clicking their teeth together. I think we see the Teethanir use echolocation in his debut video before and after he eats the pot. Question 5. Who is Dr. Metalhead? Dr. Metalhead is an evil scientist who made the Teethanir as a henchman and vows to defeat Melon Man. So this confirms my prior theory that Teethanir is Glumshan, that Teethanir is a henchman, and Dr. Metalhead is the evil mastermind. This last question is, what were the technical difficulties that canceled the last Melon Man video? Badwater says some things just didn't work out and he couldn't finish the video, but then it cuts to the blue soldier from Dr. Metalhead's debut video dragging himself across the floor onto somewhere off camera. He's covered in metal parts and left a big blood stain on the floor where he was created. He gets deleted and Badwater's answer changes to a failure. What I find unsettling about every time a character gets deleted is that you can hear them scream for a moment, like it's agonizing getting deleted, but it happens so quickly that we only hear a little bit of the reaction. This last section of the video also explores the idea of Badwater making a bunch of freak experiments out of these fully conscious ragdolls, which already was explored with just the existence of Melon Man and Teethanir because obviously Badwater's making these guys. The tutorial starts with Badwater thanking everyone for 20k subscribers. The first step of this tutorial is to open a map in Gmod. Obviously, Badwater videos pick Badwater. The next step is to decorate the area you'll be filming in and adding a shit ton of decorations. But obviously, to make a Gmod machinima, you'll need characters. And instead of pressing Q and opening the spawn menu like a normal person, he walks into a conveniently placed door that opens up into a white void to go get his characters. He says he left them in Off Blast, which is where he recorded Melon Man versus the Teethanir. As a personal tip, it's best to weld your characters to the ground so they don't go wandering elsewhere after filming. When you get all of your characters on set, then it is time to animate. First, we'll need to know how to move characters using the fizz gun without the big evil laser and the big evil HUD in the corner. Open up the spawn menu and go to options and remove the check from draw fizz gun beams. So Badwater is clearly capable of spawning in ragdolls for his videos since he can open the spawn menu, but I guess he prefers to hunt for ragdolls himself, as we see in the Sawmill gameplay video, instead of just spawning them in normally. But anyway, to remove the HUD, enable the console in settings and then type CL_draw HUD 0. Second, we'll need to know how to animate a walk cycle in Gmod like Teethanir and Dr. Metalhead Rises. First step is to put a brick, a fire extinguisher, and 2 saw blades together as so. The next step is to get our ragdoll. The next step is to get our ragdoll, weld him to the contraption, line him up with the doohickey, set his legs up on the blades and make the device invisible. And finally, we gotta add some thrusters to make him move. And that's how you make a ragdoll walk in Gmod. Now knowing that he willingly refuses to get non-sentient ragdolls and he only picks from whoever he can find while playing, Badwater seems much more sinister. Especially at the end of this video when he says, looks like Melon Man has to come help him again, like he's taunting the engineer. This video makes another reference to Gunslinger Pro because he also does the same walking tutorial And it also goes wrong. Except Gunslinger Pro ends his video and the blue sniper tries to run away, and Badwater just gets a new guy and moves on. Reference aside, we know what the doors are for now. They're used to move from map to map. The white space they lead to is just like a limbo space in between maps that lead from one to another. This could be just coincidence, but they look an awful lot like the white room from GM Construct. If you don't believe me, here's a back-to-back photo of the white room and the limbo space. The Tea Veneer interrupts tea time is the final product of the scene from the previous video, the tutorial. Melon Man and the Red Engineer are having tea together, but the Tea Veneer sneakily throws a bomb into their tea time. However, Melon Man demonstrates a brand new, unique, never seen before ability that we haven't seen him do a single time. He kicks the bomb away. Fuck, it's genius. He kicks the bomb away and it comes rolling back to the Tea Veneer, and it blows him up and sends him flying into a sign that he breaks. We see Badwater's shadow observing the Tea Veneer with a fizz gun. I think he just welded him down until the next shot he'll be animated in. We get a look at one of Dr. Metalhead's drones, which he uses to observe Tea Veneer's heinous actions. But since he failed and got severely damaged in the process, he was teleported back, repaired, and sent to cause more malicious shenanigans. This video, like most of the actual Machinima videos, doesn't really have any lore in it, so there's not a whole lot to look too deep into in this video. A comment speculated that maybe Tea Veneer died from the explosion, and Badwater was just making sure he was alive, which is why we see his shadow. And the reason why he was teleported to Metalhead's base was because it was just an easy way of sneakily replacing him with a new one, which is why he has a nose after being teleported. So maybe this video confirms that the ragdolls can die, and I just lied to you by saying there's no lore in this video. I'm sorry. Sanctuary is the second part to Passage, where we finally get a look at Red Scout's perspective since he went into the DORE. Scout tries to lay low for a moment as we see Badwater carries a red demo man from one entrance to another. I'm guessing that this is Melon Man, and he's bringing him on set from Off Blast as we see him do a tutorial video. And this is proven because Scout sees the open doorway into Off Blast moments later. He walks into Off Blast and looks at the engineer sitting frozen in his chair until suddenly he's caught by Badwater and sent flying in a GM Construct for the second half of the tutorial video. We see his perspective and how Badwater fucks with his hand while a camera's pointing at him the entire time. While he's making the walking contraption, Scout manages to sneak off into the dark room and hide. He covers his face with his arm and we hear Badwater walk up to him until he stops. We see him take a step back and then walk into the room to the right. When Scout enters the dark room, he's presented with a big light facing him next to a mattress. I'm guessing that this mattress was found by some other rogue ragdoll. Anyway, he takes a nap on the mattress and the video ends. The video's description is September 22nd, which is when the tutorial video was recorded based on the events of this video. But we just see everything Badwater did from Scout's perspective. I'm guessing the dark room is the sanctuary the title is referring to, since Scout finds a good resting place in the dark room. A cool detail that this video has is this short scene where we see Badwater standing in front of the dark room, because it contrasts a scene from Gunslinger Pro 2009. In BadwaterVideos2009, Scout has just entered the dark room and successfully hid from his captor, creating a sense of safety. In Gunslinger Pro 2009, the blue spy just barely managed to escape the dark room and then immediately got caught by his captor, creating a sense of danger and vulnerability. I like how the dark room is considered to be a safe room for the protagonist of this channel, while many other Gmod ARGs and the general Gmod community find the dark room creepy and discomforting. It's a cool twist. Piter on the Move introduces a new neutral villain called the Piter, as described in the description. In the corners secluded from the chaos of Melon Man's and Dr. Metalhead's eternal battle, other villains lurk in the shadows with allegiance to neither side. I haven't really brought up the Machinima descriptions because they're all just summaries of the story of the video, but this one gave us some cool new detail about this cool new villain. We see the Tea Veneer doing whatever he's doing, making a little thing from a thing, until he hears some footsteps that run past him. He uses his echolocation to identify where the noise is coming from, but he doesn't see anything. He looks around and spots the Piter, a red and blue pyro, with his top half being the red pyro's upper half and his 6 legs being composed of both red and blue pyro limbs. The Tea Veneer runs around the Piter and almost gets his hands on a weapon until the Piter shoots a web at his hands. He bites the web off, grabs the weapon, and shoots at the Piter, which scares him away. He's relieved for just a moment until he notices the bomb he shot at the Piter is still active, which explodes in front of him and ends the video. I don't know if it was on purpose, but the Piter's design definitely has some body horror type elements, like how the blue Pyro's head is just dangling there. But based on the Tea Veneer's also disturbing and body horror type design, it could very well be on purpose. Discarded takes place right after Scout wakes up from his nap in Sanctuary. He sleeps through the rest of the day to get his beauty sleep, since the date in the description is September 23rd, the day after Sanctuary took place. He picks up the light and checks out the dark room, which is filled with random useless junk, until he spots all the props from the broken TV. And then he finds and picks up a wrench, which makes the video bug out until it ends while he's staring at the wrench. Since we see the props from the broken TV in this room, and we saw them get deleted directly after the actual video, I'm guessing this is where all the deleted props go instead of just being being deleted forever. This is just one big trash can, and ragdolls just get deleted forever instead of being put here. We also see the broken TV props in the room filled with other props, so maybe the other props are from unseen machinima videos that the scout wasn't seen in. Subjugate shows the scout creating something with the junk he found around the dark room, except it looks a lot like the gun part of the tool gun with the light brown handle and the bandages wrapped around the handle. While he goes to find more junk, he comes across Badwater, who's just standing there in the dark. Badwater traps Scout in a chair and uses the finger poser tool to break his finger, and then he leaves. You think he's gone, you think he's done, you think that was just a warning because he broke his finger, but he comes back with a saw blade, turns it on, and slices Scout. It's really hard to take the video seriously. He fucking, with the Gmod player movement, it's so hard to take the video seriously. But he gets a saw blade, he turns it on, and he slices Scout. After the torture session ends, we get a good look at Badwater, except he's just standing there in the shadows until he turns towards the camera and the video ends. This head movement isn't like the hesitant and organic player movement we've seen him move like. It's more smooth, like those clankers. I mean like the Scout's movement. Like the player's no longer the player and could actually be a ragdoll, but he just managed to discover the tool gun and the other abilities that normal Gmod players have, like opening the spawn menu. This video's description is dated September 29th, 6 whole days after discarded, meaning Scout spent 6 days searching for junk to make something out of, and what are the odds he came across the handle of the tool gun? Or he could have made the handle himself, but I don't know if that happened. I don't know. That'd be more impressive though. Metalhead's final straw starts with the Red Scout minding his business in Badwater until we spot the mischievous Teethaneer getting ready to do something very mischievous to this Red Scout. Then we see the Red Engineer and the Melon Man sitting and catching some Zeds, but the screams of terror from the Red Scout wakes up the Melon Man. When he goes to face off the Teethaneer, they have a very peculiar exchange.
I'm going to strangle you with my bare hands.
I'm gonna beat you like a rented mule, boy.
You're making me very cross.
Why don't y'all get along before one of you gets hurt?
Boo!
I'm done playing games.
While they're going back and forth, insulting each other, Scout gets a shovel and knocks the Teethaneer out cold. He wakes up hours later. He's been unconscious for so long that it's now nighttime. When he wakes up, he calls Dr. Metalhead, who finally takes matters into his own hands. The video ends with him deploying all of his drones to wreak havoc on the world. I'm not gonna ignore the elephant in the room. They found another Scout. We know full well what happened to the last one, so how did they get a new one? Or, he finally manned up and spawned one himself? Probably the latter. It's awfully hard to find fresh Scouts nowadays. Revelation starts with a recap of events through the Scout's perspective, even with some new footage of a Scout laying with the Teethaneer and Melon Man and Sawmill, and Badwater leaving all of them on the floor, the Scout being carried somewhere by Melon Man and the Teethaneer, and finally the Teethaneer and Melon Man looking at the Red Scout after they've thrown him into the White Void. This new Red Scout wakes up in the White Void in GM Construct and walks to the dark room where the other Red Scout got caught. When entering the dark room, instead of a little mattress and big bright light, Scout's presented with the aftermath of Subjugate. The Red Scout stuck in that same chair covered in different weapons and tools, limbs dislocated far from where they're supposed to be, and the same broken finger. However, there's a small table in front of him with a makeshift tool gun that we saw him making in Subjugate. He looks up at the other Scout, who nudges his fucked up finger towards the tool gun. When he takes it, he shoots the Scout with it and takes him out of his misery. Since the Red Scout knows what happened to the other Red Scout based on his dream or whatever, I'm guessing both of them have like a shared consciousness or something similar. This video has the date October 8th, a bit more than a week after Subjugate. So the first Rogue Scout gets tortured, and afterwards the other Rogue Scout that was sent to the Void by Melon Man and Teethaneer shares the first Scout's memories, which is why we see them go back and forth between perspectives at the start. But when did the other Rogue Scout get thrown into the Void by Melon Man and Teethaneer? They're on well, and there's no props, so it's not like they recorded some unuploaded machinima and Badwater just left them there. Since everything so far has been pretty sequential, I'm guessing the moment Melon Man and Teethaneer drag Scout to passage is probably in between Metalhead's final straw and Revelation. Since we see Badwater just leave them all on well, I'm guessing he left to go do whatever. Probably finish the final straw video since it's also in a different map. This theory is supported by the fact that Metalhead's final straw is literally in between Revelation and Subjugate. Besides the sequence of events, this video also confirms that the White Room and GM Construct connected to the doors, because Scout wakes up in the Construct White Room and we see the border, like the entrance of the White Room border change after being thrown in from Wells passageway. It was a door and now it's a whole different entrance. Also, Melon Man and Teethaneer working together to bring Scout to the White Room proves that they were never enemies behind the scenes and were forced to fight each other in Badwaters machinimas. Punishment takes place on the same day as the last two videos about the Red Scout, October 8th. However, the times they were taken in are different. I've ignored the times because the exact times of the other videos would be pointless unless they all happen on the same day like these last few, but Punishment and Revelation have a 2-hour difference between each other. The video starts with Badwater spawning in the Red Scout and shooting him in the cranium. Pretty rude. So he does spawn them in, and all of the ragdolls are sentient. He just prefers to isolate the funny looking ones. He spawns another and shoots him in the chest with a bow. Next he's crushed by a thing. Next we see him without legs. This entire video is a scout kill montage, all inflicted by Badwater. After a few more deaths, we see him behind Badwater on a bridge. Badwater says,
"It will never be enough, no matter how much you suffer. It will never be enough. I'm not going to let you take this away from me."
Scout is dropped down and we see hundreds of scouts all over the floor. And we even see some of their perspectives before they die, like the one upright in the back and the one with the spears in front of us. From what we can see, there are a total of 35 seen scout deaths in Punishment. Since girls aren't real in the Team Fortress 2 universe, that makes a very nice all blue pie chart, even though they were all red scouts. The runtime of 2 minutes, that leaves us with a kill on average of 1 death every 3.8 seconds. Kill count aside, this video actually starts with Badwater using the tool gun to spawn in Scout. This couldn't be a coincidence of Badwater just using the tool gun as Scout wakes up, like he's welding him to something, because he falls over onto the ground with no like pole or anything. There's nothing, the point is there's nothing that proves that he was not using the tool gun to spawn in Scout. Now I know you can spawn ragdolls in with the tool gun, but how come they're all sharing the same perspective? The only explanation could be that they're all dupes. My explanation for why they share a consciousness is because duping a scout means his consciousness is duped too. Because Badwater keeps spawning in this scout with the tool gun, which we already know Badwater can open the spawn menu. Why not just use the spawn menu to spawn in another scout? That's because he can't spawn in a living scout from the spawn menu. He can only spawn it in through the tool gun, therefore proving that the other scout is a dupe, which also explains how Badwater just got a new scout for the final straw video. Another very important detail is that nobody ever speaks through the in-game chat, but Badwater does to communicate with the Red Scout. And in doing so, we see his main intentions for torturing the scout. His main goal is to succeed like the other popular Gmob machinima channels at the time. And the ragdolls revealing their sentience in his recordings will lead to his downfall, because the internet would know he's forcing living beings to partake in his videos. An interesting theory is that he thinks he's going to stand above the rest because of his actors looking more authentic than the rest, because they're alive and far more smooth, and they move far smoother than the very limited animation used in Gmod at the time. But if everyone knew that they were actually alive, he'd lose that opportunity to be the best machinima YouTuber, and his actors rebelling or acting against his videos is taking this away from him. This next video is a cool little trailer for Badwater's next and last installment in the Melon Man series, Melon Man vs. Metalhead. This trailer is honestly really cool and well made from like a 2009 perspective. It's also just beautiful. It teases a new character too, this robot sniper thing, and it's a blue sniper, so it could very well be the blue sniper from Passage reused as an antagonist for this video. Badwater at this point is probably running out of living ragdolls since Soldier was a failure, so he reused this old, somehow living one from months ago. Melon Man vs. Metalhead is, like I said moments ago, the final and most awesome, most amazing video in the world! The video starts with Melon Man sitting and snoring, as per usual, until a group of Metalhead drones come attacking him. He breaks all 3 of them and hears some more trouble brewing on the other side of the map. He goes to save the engineer in distress and uses all of his melons to the greatest visibility. He causes a melon storm and knocks out a shit ton of drones. While he's causing a storm, the Teethaneers demanded by Metalhead go intervene. But while Melonhead is lollygagging with the drones, he gets distracted and hit by one. And as Teethaneer is about to go interfere with the Melon Man, he takes a moment to think. Maybe Melon Man isn't that bad after all. So he drops the device and goes to help up Melon Man, to which they both team up and the engineers fix up Melon Man. The video bugs out and cuts to Scout getting ready to shoot the tool gun, sitting at a table in the darkroom in GM Construct. Hey bud, you're a bit behind. Everybody's like 5 maps ahead of you right now. I'll go catch up to those guys. But it cuts back and we're at Dr. Metalhead's evil lair. He works on a new subject made with a blue sniper. Then it cuts back to Melon Man and the engineers. Red Engineer is having some issues with the technology and needs the Teethaneers' assistance, while Melon Man is that's the funniest shit I've ever seen. Well, as Melon Man is doing, T the Near and Red Engineer find the location of Dr. Metalhead, which is in Well, so they take a road trip in Red Engie's sweet ride. Except there's only 2 seats, so T the Near has to sit on top. I guess there's not a trunk or something. Like, he could probably like sit in the middle, or I don't know. He didn't have to sit on top, that's what I'm saying. While they're driving, the video bugs out again and we see some strange lab location from a new perspective. The lab looks too compact, so there's no way this could be a TF2 map. And it looks very out of element and gloomy. Not at all similar to the brighter, high saturation, open spaces of the TF2 maps that Badwater's been using. And I'm pretty sure that Half-Life maps aren't even available in default Gmod. And I haven't seen a single mod actually come from Badwater, so this is a Half-Life map. This new person looks down and spots a body lying next to a fizz gun. There's no telling who the body could be since it looks all black. But next to the fizz gun is a crowbar, and a tool gun. They go to pick up the tool gun and we see a bit of whose perspective we're in. Dark gray pants and a white arm. This is very likely a Dr. Kleiner model, which Badwater has been using for the entire channel as his player model. Except he's not moving like a player. He's moving like the ragdolls. And he has been for the past few videos. So very likely, Badwater is not a human person. He's a clanker. And he hasn't been for a while, from what I'm guessing. There's no telling when exactly Badwater was no longer just a player, but I think this ragdoll could have been imitating normal player movement the entire time and only stopped when he wasn't recording. But it cuts back to the T the Near on top of the car like Manny from that one Diary of a Wimpy Kid book. He falls off the car and has to roam all around the desert to go to Well, which we see him do for a while, enjoying the desert. Or I think he's enjoying the desert. Well, anyway, he fell asleep and made it into a river, which probably took him to Well. Melon Man and Red Engineer have to go to Sawmill to make it to Well, which was the same reason Badwater dropped off Scout, T the Near, and Melon Man in Well in Revelation while he was making Metalhead's final straw, because the lab area for Metalhead was in Well and he dropped them off next door to finish his work. And they encounter a Red Scout who's in trouble and surrounded by more drones. Melon Man saves the Scout and fends off against the drones himself. While he's doing that, the screen bugs out once more and we see Scout walking to Sawmill from the void with a tool gun in hand. When he fully leaves the void, we go back to our regularly scheduled programming. They're all dancing and celebrating Melon Man taking down all the Sawmill drones and saving Scout, except they're interrupted by a blue sniper, an evil robot sniper that looks pretty cool. When he fires his handgun, the area around it distorts, which also looks really cool. While they're fighting, we see where T the Near went to, the waterfall in Sawmill. He goes flying and lands on the sniper, which distracted him enough to let Melon Man hit him with a melon. And then T the Near throws sniper to Melon Man. Melon Man kicks him into the sky and throws a melon at him and blows the sniper up. When they reunite with the Scout and Engineer, we're back in Scout's perspective. Badwater is observing the show and Scout's managed to sneak into the room behind him. Then it cuts to Melon Man and the Engineers having a laugh for a second and then back to Scout. Scout throws himself into Badwater and lands in the water. He manages to get out of the water and Badwater gets a hold of Scout. But Scout gets a good hit on Badwater and makes a run for the tool gun. After he kills Badwater, he goes to visit Melon Man and his friends since he left them to go kill their director. Except they're all unconscious, and Melon Man's head even comes off. But Scout picks up the fizz gun, grabs Melon Man's head, and walks into the void, concluding the series. At the very end of the video, after the credits, we see 3 gravestones for T the Near, Melon Man, and Red Engineer, leaving Scout to survive alone. This video's description has the date October 29th, concluding the timeline. So sad. Sorry. This video has quite a bit to unpack. Mainly that we know now that Badwater is not a player and is a ragdoll, just like everyone else. Since we see him wake up in this strange lab room, moving and seeing just like how a ragdoll would. Based on the corpse lying in front of Badwater, most speculate that a rogue Kleiner ragdoll found, killed, and looted Badwater and went mad with power. Which is why that ragdoll has those nice ass shoes and dark pants and is also lying so close to the tool gun and fizz gun and crowbar. But why would he use the doors if he's not a ragdoll? Badwater, as we know, likes preserving his ragdolls instead of duping them. So the main reason he could be using these doors is because they do exactly what he wants them to. They keep the ragdolls in place for later, and they help him keep tabs on his slaves. But why would we see this ragdoll perspective now? When did this event happen? Kleiner killing the real Badwater very likely didn't happen during this moment in time, since he'd be too busy making Melon Man versus Metalhead. I think the most appropriate time that this would have happened would have been before Subjugate, because it explains why Badwater suddenly becomes even more violent towards the Scout. Badwater, up until this point, was already pretty aggressive, threatening to delete his actors if they misbehave, making experiments out of his actors, you know, pretty evil thing in my opinion. But before this point, he hasn't tortured anybody like he did with the Scout. Besides the Blue Soldier, kinda, but he didn't do anything too extreme. So this was very likely a flashback to the Kleiner ragdoll that replaced Badwater. And if he replaced Badwater before Subjugate, the "I'm not gonna let you take this away from me" from punishment also means that he wanted to successfully replace Badwater, and them not playing along long would be taking away his opportunity to do so. Now that I've finally established that this Kleiner ragdoll is trying to replace Badwater, I'm going to refer to this evil Kleiner as Worse Water for the duration of the video. If Worse Water really did replace Badwater before Subjugate, then that also means that he was the one that left T the Near, Scout, and Melon Man on Sawmill cluelessly, as we see in Revelation. Because he didn't know what Badwater does. He doesn't know he could weld them to the ground to keep them from moving, so he just left them somewhere else. Editor's note, the fact Worse Water didn't know he could weld ragdolls to the ground could also explain why he suddenly uses in-game chat to speak to his ragdolls. Thought you guys should know. I just thought that was a cool little detail. Okay. This video also reveals that the main four, Scout, Red NG, T the Near, and Melon Man, are all possessed by spirits, which is why they're alive in the first place. Their spirits were trapped in those ragdolls by Badwater, and the death of both waters finally set their spirit free. But why didn't Scout die with them? And why wouldn't they be freed after Kleiner killed Badwater, the one who made them ragdolls in the first place? Maybe I'm looking too deep into it, but Scout could probably be alive because he's a dupe that hasn't been killed like the ones in Punishment, meaning a copy of the original Scout spirit is still sitting in Dupe Scout. For why none of them were set free when the original Badwater died, I have no idea. Maybe they did die off screen, and Worse Water puts them back together and like crams their spirits back into the ragdolls. We may never know. Even though we've gone through every video, there are still some fuzzy areas in the story that we can speculate about. So we're gonna use those speculations to create a consistent timeline. First off, how did Scout survive being deleted after the broken TV? Did he even get deleted? A lot of people think some guardian angel is the one that teleported Scout to Lumberyard and sent the code through the radio. If there is a guardian angel, then he wasted all of his mana teleporting Scout away from Badwater because they are nowhere to be seen when Scout's tanking a saw into the chest. Since we've already established that every Scout, dupe or not, is basically part of a hive mind that shares thoughts and memories, that means that this Scout from Lumberyard could very well be a dupe from a machinima that we haven't seen, which would explain all the props and door next to the scene so Badwater could keep a tab on where his ragdolls are, even though one of them is pinned to the wall with an arrow in his chest. For who put the code on the radio? I'm not too sure. Probably the blue sniper, since the code was playing while Scout was sleeping, so maybe Sniper put the code on the radio and got shot. Maybe he got shot while he was at the radio and got shot all the way to the little shed that he's currently pinned to. And maybe his spirit possesses the radio and transmits a different message, or it just plays a new message after a while of playing the same old one. We could talk about how the blue sniper did this, how blue sniper did that, but the biggest, most confusing part is actually the beginning. How did this happen? How did a TF2 player meet a Gmod player? How did TF2 and Gmod end up clashing together? I think, personally, the doors are the answer to this question. We first see a Half-Life-like lab in the Q&A video, revealing that Badwater has gone to lab areas like this multiple times. Even the code, or even like the date in the third video on the channel, the Half-Life August whatever, it says Half-Life at the start. It says HL for Half-Life. How else would Worse Water get out of that Half-Life-like lab? Through the same way Badwater very likely used to get here. The Dwar. If a door can go to a Half-Life map and encounter a living rogue Kleiner NPC from Half-Life, what are the odds it can go to TF2 and encounter actual players? Very high, since we see it happen at the start of the channel. It's like an interloper situation. Every source game is very likely connected to each other in this universe. Unlike Interloper, they're all connected through the doors that come from the mysterious White Room from GM Construct. Oh my god! It all makes sense now! Now that we've gone through probably everything I could possibly go over, it's time to compose the full story. Everything happens in a pretty organized manner in this channel, so making a timeline shouldn't be too difficult. The story obviously starts with TF2 Sawmill gameplay on August 15th, 2009. It doesn't go past 2009. The Red Scout, who is a random unnamed TF2 player, is running through Sawmill and encounters BadwaterVideos2009, a Gmod player who managed to travel to a TF2 match instead of an empty Gmod map. He captures the Red Scout and traps the TF2 player's spirit in the ragdoll by doing so. In the same day, the broken TV comes out. While Badwater's cleaning up, he takes a good look at the Scout and the video corrupts. Over the span of 12 days, Melon Man to the rescue and Melon Man versus the T the Near come out, which both introduce two main mascots of the channel, Melon Man and the T the Near. At this time, Badwater isn't the best at keeping the ragdolls at bay and probably doesn't really know that they're all alive, which is demonstrated in Melon Man to the rescue with the blue Scout crawling in the background. At some point before the production of Melon Man versus the T the Near, Badwater discovers Melon Man and the T the Near are alive and forces Melon Man to beat up T the Near under the threat of being deleted with the tool gun. During that time, according to my theory, Badwater also made a shitty machinima he didn't feel like uploading, which included a dupe of the Red Scout and a blue sniper. After Badwater left the scene at some point on August 27th, the blue sniper, or some unknown spirit, broadcasted two codes that tell the Red Scout to hide from Badwater, which he does through a mysterious door, which is revealed later to be Badwater's main source of transportation to different Gmod maps, and probably was also put down by Badwater as a waypoint to the scene he left his actors in. While Red Scouts in the White Void were introduced to Dr. Dr. Metalhead, the evil mad scientist type character that created the Teeth and Ear as his henchman. After the end of Dr. Metalhead Rises, he tries and fails to create a new character out of the Blue Soldier from Melon Man to the rescue. This failure results in the next Melon Man episode being cancelled and a Q&A being made as an apology. After the Q&A, Badwater makes the tutorial, which, according to Sanctuary, happens almost exactly a month later on the 22nd of September, meaning Scout's been sitting in the void for a month while Badwater makes his videos. Right before the filming of the GM Construct segment of the tutorial, Scout sneaks into Off Blast because he saw Badwater walk out of it for the first half of the tutorial. However, he gets caught while Badwater is looking for a ragdoll to use for the tutorial. While Badwater is making his little contraption, Scout sneaks away and hides in the darkroom, which is used as a trash can for props that get deleted after a video is done being filmed. Scout spots a mattress by a light and naps on the mattress. Scout takes a nap and wakes up the next day, which is probably when Piter on the Move is uploaded. When Scout wakes up, he goes searching around the room for junk and starts building a tool gun. Over the span of 6 days, a rogue Dr. Kleiner finds and kills Badwater and somehow hides his body in a room from Half-Life, stealing his tool gun, fizz gun, and crowbar, and going mad with power. Over the span of 6 days, a rogue Dr. Kleiner finds and kills Badwater. Oh, I already read that. His construction is interrupted when he stumbled upon Worstwater, who chains him to a chair and tortures him until he's a big cluster of tools and blades. Over the span of 2 weeks, Metalhead's Final Straw is filmed and uploaded. During the production of that video, Worstwater leaves a duped Red Scout, Teeth and Ear, and Melon Man in Sawmill. Melon Man and Teeth and Ear wake up before the Red Scout, so they drag him to a passageway in Sawmill that leads to GM Construct's White Room, the main hub room for traveling to other maps. When the dupe Scout wakes up on October 8th, he goes to the dark room where he saw the other Scout die in his dream, which could have been the Scouts sharing perspectives sent because they have a shared consciousness. This new dupe Scout discovers the old Scout who fell victim to Worstwater after trying to retaliate. The finished makeshift tool gun sits in between both of them, but only the dupe Scout could pick it up. So he picks it up and puts the old Scout out of his misery, leaving the new Scout to fight against Worstwater himself. A few hours later, while the dupe Scout is sitting in the dark room, Worstwater feels like punishing the rebellious Red Scout for a little bit longer, which is when punishment takes place. And in this video, we discover his true intentions. He wants to be as successful as every other Gmod channel, and he can't have the world know that his characters are alive. And since he's also not even Badwater, he can't let people know that he's trying to replace them and it's not actually him. So he treats them all like he does for the sake of the channel's reputation, and any mistake on the actor's part means punishment, so they never do that again, which is why the video is called Punishment. The trailer for Melon Man vs. Metalhead comes out a few days after Punishment. It has no significance to the lore, but we do see what happened to the blue sniper from Passage. He gets used as a villain. The timeline ends with Melon Man vs. Metalhead on October 29th, which is when Worstwater is killed by the dupe Scout, who snuck on set through the White Room in GM Construct and deleted Worstwater. In doing so, Scout freed the spirits of the Red Engineer, Teeth and Ear, and Melon Man, with Melon Man's head falling off, meaning the actions of Badwater and Worstwater have been mostly undone. Scout buries the three in Sawmill, right where the channel started, and walks through the door out of Sawmill, leaving him to survive in the Valveverse by himself. And that's all I have for today's video. Thank you guys so much for watching. I'm assuming you guys all made it to the end of this video. So, if you did make it to the end of this video, be sure to like, comment, subscribe, and hit that bell button. The support I've been getting on the channel right now is bonkers. So, thank you so much, and I'll see you all in the next video. Have a great night, everyone.
Art is what I do. It's write the songs and sing them.
Therefore, it's all